Bro, y'all ever work for them sleazeball service managers? You ever work for a service manager that don't got your back, don't got the technicians back, the advisors back, none of that? They bring a customer in the office and then you out there getting tore up and they just quick to throw you under the bus, quick to throw anybody under the bus. Don't got the backbone to tell the client this is what's going on. This.
All right, guys, loading up on my stuff. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm really upset about with the Jaguar dealership that I'm at. Turns out the exotic cars were not as profitable as I thought they would be, and that's okay. It's fine. So I'm going to go back to one of the brands that I know that I can make money at, and I got a really good offer. I'm going to go ahead and just pursue that because I've decided that this year is going to be about money. I'm not going to settle for anything less. And if I get anything less, then I'm leaving. So this is what we're doing. I will post a Toolbox Friday pick tomorrow, or a video, we'll see. And maybe go into depth a little bit more about the circumstances. But until then, I'll talk to you later.
Over 5 years ago, I started this channel interviewing mostly people who have worked with in the automotive industry and the dealerships, and people who have shared their personal experiences, how they started out in the dealership, their journey along the way, and what were some of the highs and lows working in the automotive dealership sector. I've also made videos about the state of the automotive industry, especially at the dealership level, and how there was a shortage of mechanics. Mind you, I've been doing this for the last 5 years. Lo and behold, I think the algorithm has now caught up, but it was only a few of us who were lamenting the fact that there is a shortage of mechanics and the problems there be are what needs to be fixed. Thankfully now, bigger content creators are now on the bandwagon and they are exposing what is happening in the automotive industry. And I can say I am happy that the word is out there and that the mechanics, deservedly so, need to be heard, because long gone they have been too ignored, especially now that even Ford CEO has admitted the fact that there is a shortage of mechanics. And instead of dealing with the problem head on, he chooses the other route of saying that young men do not want to go into mechanics. If you do not set a proper foundation for them to come in and benefit from it, then there is no incentive for them to join. Mechanics are leaving because the math does not work. Job keeps getting harder, the vehicles keep getting more complex, and the pay does not keep up. Take a look at this.
One of the things in today's world that is causing the average repair of your car to go up is the fact that automotive engineers used to think about us when they designed and built these cars. This is not a new car. This is a 2005 Honda CR-V. But as you can see here, we are doing a differential fluid drain and fill, which is most cars 60,000 mile-ish service. But it should be simple. You pull the drain plug, let the oil run out, put it back in, pull the fill plug, and you fill it up until the fluid comes out. Really quick and easy. However, when the auto manufacturer decides to mount additional things in the way of the drain and the fill plugs here, we can no longer get this stuff out and get our tools in. If we pulled this plug, the drain plug out, it's going to end up filling this thing with oil, and then it drips for a while, and we cannot get to the fill plug that's up here in the top. And so we end up having to take more components out of the vehicle to do a service when they could have easily just designed it to be on this side. If the drain and fill plug were on this side where there's lots of room, this would have saved every one of the clients that drive these cars tons of money. It's out of our control. We are not the ones designing these cars, unfortunately. And if we would make things like this happen, but we're just here to keep them on the road and keep them going strong. And we have to deal with things like this, which unfortunately ends up costing the clients more money.
And believe it or not, it will just go through one year and come through the next, because the average person driving their car, they just buy the car and they will try to make far more effort keeping up with the monthly payment or their car note and the insurance, instead of trying to understand the complexities of what mechanics actually go through. And to prove the point, one of the very first comment here says in the video, "Why are you wearing safety glasses?" You can't make this up. Over the years, I've seen comments on some of the videos that I make complaining, especially about the series when I made how engineers keep mechanics miserable. One of the comments that still stood out in my mind is that, why are these guys complaining? They're getting paid. They should just do the job and keep it moving. And I'm like I said, individual out there, they don't care unless something personally happens to them. But in the United States, and I always like to give you the statistics, in the United States, the BLS, which is the Bureau of Labor Standards, they say is the median annual wage for an automotive service technician and a mechanic was about $49,600 in May 2024, with about 70,000 openings projected each year through 2034. In Ontario, the job bank lists a typical wage of $18 to $43 an hour, and the outlook is very moderate with retirements adding in the openings. Not only mention the retirement, but people are actually moving away from being a mechanic and going into other industries, which is one of the benefits of being a mechanic. You can go anywhere else with the same skill set.
So I recently left the automotive industry. Let's talk about it. So I've been a tech basically my whole career. Started in 2011. I went to a trade school. It was Honda affiliated. I had to basically get an internship, and that's where my career started. So I started in a Honda dealer and kind of bounced around a little bit until I was, I guess, fairly paid because I started out changing oil, doing tires, just like pretty much anybody else would. I was getting paid minimum wage at the time. Granted, I was only like 18, 19 years old. But I stayed at that Honda dealer until I think it was the day before or after my 21st birthday. I don't remember. But to put in perspective, I'm 32 years old, going to be 33 in February. I moved around a little bit trying to increase my pay because every single time, basically, it went up more and more and more. And eventually I stayed at a place where I was paid pretty good money for the time, I guess. Yeah, and then I learned quite a bit. I've primarily worked in dealerships. I have done like third-party shops and stuff like that. I tried parts. I never really wanted to try being an advisor or anything like that. But yeah, I really like parts. I enjoy parts a lot. It's just the pay isn't there.
But another factor that compounds the problem, you're seeing it right here that I just played. And I need to correct one thing people keep getting. This is not a lazy worker problem. As one commenter said, as I mentioned earlier, mechanics are leaving because the shops ask for more skill, more speed, and less room for error. And then they act surprised when people walk.
Mechanics always say they hate engineers. This Lincoln is a prime example of it. You're supposed to do a cabin air filter, right? Well, to do so, you have to remove the glove box. Well, Lincoln, in their infinite wisdom, decided to hide screws that you have to take out in order to take this thing out. So it's got 4. Here, which you can get to by dropping this door open. And then there's one down here, and then there's one over here. This one is hidden by this gigantic panel. This gigantic panel is trapped by this panel back here. And then you have to pop this panel off, and these pop tabs require you to pull this way. Well, guess what you need to pull this way? Space. Guess what you don't have? Space. And then, once you pull it out, you then have to pull it backwards because it has more pop tabs up here. So it's not just as simple as pulling this way. You also then have to pull this way. And then you would think to yourself, okay, well, I've got 3 screws. That surely should be it. No, you have to pop this panel down because it's hiding the screw over here. So you finally get all of that done, right? This panel also comes off. It's down there. Unhook the stupid light. And then you're like, okay, surely this will just fall right out. Nope, you have to have it at the right specific angle. And this is still kind of in the way, so that makes that kind of hard. Now I can just pull it out, right? No, there's more screws. Check this out. Toyota Camry. Look how easy this is. You do this one-handed while filming. You open the glove box, pull a door off. There. Cabin air filter. People always wonder why I'm telling them to buy Toyotas for like reliability, ease. This is why. It's because it's that easy to change Toyota, whereas a Lincoln, getting charged an hour of labor just to do a cabin air. Mechanics always say they hate engineers.
And if you explain that to the average Joe, he still doesn't get it. And they're going to tell you that the dealership is very expensive. Tech Force's 2026 report puts the automotive technician gap at about 29%. If you work in a shop or you know someone else that does, pay attention. I want you to comment which part of the job burns the most time. And that will absolutely matters because people in the comments need to understand. Thankfully, social media, it has both it's good and it's bad, it's up and it's downs, but I try to use it positively so that people can understand exactly what's happening out there.
Here's the reason why I left being a car mechanic and just quit the trades completely. Number 1, the time. I used to work 60 hours a week. I used to commute 2 hours a day in total there and back. And when I got home, it was around dinner time, and basically I had an hour or two with my family. Then I did it all over again the next day. Number two, I feel like car mechanics or auto technicians, because we actually diagnose the problem and not just change parts. We diagnose the problem and make sure it's done right. Well, if you're a good mechanic, that's what you do.
Yep.
We are just underpaid compared to every other single trade, even though that we are doing every single other trade in one thing. We're electricians, we're plumbers, we're HVAC people, and the list goes on. And now this is a real reason why I quit the car mechanic thing. I looked at how my life would be. I would work 60 hours a week for the next 40 years, retire at 65. I was just like, there must be more to this. There better be more to life than just working your butt off until you're 65. And this is why I learned another high income skill set where I don't have to trade my time for money anymore. And the crazy part is the future is headed this way. Because of this high income skill set, I'm making way more money than I did as a car mechanic. And also I worked way less hours. And now I have time for my family. Right now it's like 10 a.m. and I'm just shooting this video.
Thankfully, some of these videos, they show where the pressure really sits, but not until the industry is reeling. Then dealer principal will really start taking notes, and they are the ones gatekeeping the structure and the pay and how the mechanics actually function within the industry. And that is a part most people miss. A repair is not a one task anymore. It is diagnosis, it is testing, it is parts lookup, scanning, programming, and then the risk of a comeback if one small thing is off. And that actually takes the real skill. It takes the focus. It takes time. So when people ask why mechanics are leaving, that is the answer right there. But take a look at this.
Bro, y'all ever work for them sleazeball service managers? You ever work for a service manager that don't got your back, don't got the technicians back, the advisors back, none of that? They bring a customer in the office and then you out there getting tore up and they just quick to throw you under the bus. Quick to throw anybody under the bus. Don't got the backbone to tell the client, this is what's going on. This is what's actually happening. This is why we had to replace this. Now we got to replace another part. You get what I'm saying? You wondering why your service department or your service shop is just failing and going down? Sometimes they put the wrong people in the highest places. I worked for a service manager that was cutting labor times for the techs. And I'm not talking about all data protoman. I'm just talking about by himself. He was cutting alignment time. He was cutting oil change time just because. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? The manager that plays favorites, the manager that's quick to give a job up just to get it done, even though the tech is there. Or how about the one that just doesn't do anything at all? The one that just sits back, doesn't do anything, doesn't manage, doesn't get anybody in trouble, doesn't handle anything, just lets whatever happen. Sits in a chair and does completely nothing.
Nothing.
Or don't get me started on the one that's not even there. How about that? The one that gets paid to do the job, but is not even in the seat doing the job. Man, you guys got to look behind the shrines, open the curtains, and see who you actually hired.
And there's also the one that is put in a particular position and he knows absolutely nothing about dealership operations. It's mind-boggling, and it happens at almost every dealership. But let's stick to the mechanics. I just wanted to expose the circle around the dealership environment itself. But sticking with the mechanics is that they are tired of doing the high-pressure work for pay that does not match the workload. They're tired of being blamed when the car has 3 hidden problems. They're tired of the flat rate pressure. They are tired of the weak support and the customers who think that every job should take about 20 minutes. And the shops that keep underpaying are hurting themselves. The empty bays, mind you, there's a lot these days, they do not make any money. The burnt out techs are not going to stay. The best mechanics, they know their value, they know they see the gap, and they can see the demand. They can see that the industry keeps talking about shortages while still fighting fair pay.
Making, I think it was like $18 an hour or something. It wasn't even enough for me to live. I left a job making 35 to do that because I did not like being a tech anymore. And then ultimately I went back to being a tech again. I just put my 2 weeks in last Friday, so like a week ago today, basically. Come Monday, they fired me and told me, don't even stick out your 2 weeks. Let the other guys get the hours. There is no hours. That's the whole reason I did this. I was working 12-hour days and bringing home 2 hours because I was a flat rate technician, and flat rate is absolutely a scam. Now I know you're going to say like, oh, you don't know how to do it. I know how to do it. I've been a flat rate tech my whole life. I know exactly how to manipulate the system. but you can't do anything about it if there is no work. And that brings me to my next point. These shops anymore, like these dealers, they don't know how to schedule. You have these like family-owned dealerships. They're just worried about getting the highest amount of dollar for whatever services they're trying to sell to these customers. They're just increasing the prices of things like 600%. It's not a good business anymore. It's terrible.
And that is why I back the mechanics. If a shop wants better output, it has to pay better. Simple as that. Better hourly rates, better flat rate mats, better benefits, better tools, better training, better respect overall. So yes, I want you guys to keep showing these repair videos, keep showing the stuck bolts, the dead modules, the time loss and the stress. People actually need to see why mechanics are leaving and why skill techs should be compensated heavily. Now, the job is hard. The risk is actually real. We're talking about safety. One bad problem could cause a pileup on a highway, and that means the pay should match it. If you want more videos like this, like and subscribe. Remember to grab a copy of my ebook, The Parts Manager Guide. The links are in the description box below. Stay sharp, stay educated, and I will catch you in the next one.